I say nice things.
Thank you for coming today. I guess being the elder son of Rosaly, gives me great pleasure to introduce her and her work. Mum has always kept my brother and I on our toes by always shifting the bar that we need to cross over, because every time we think we're catching up, she does another thing like put out another piece of creative work. So what we'll do today is we'll get her just to talk about what inspired her to produce the piece, and maybe she'll choose one of the few stanzas that she wants to read from, and then feel to ask her questions and on her motivations and her craft, whatever it is. All right, sounds good. Okay, introducing Rosaly.
Well, this book of poems, must have been germinating for a long time, because it is about a time in the history of Singapore in 1952 to 1958, 59. That time. That was when I was a teenager and grew up, so it must have been there. Because when I started this and I started writing, it was very easy in the sense that I began to write, and within about 5 or 6 months I was able to write the whole book, which is quite amazing, because most of our poems like 1 or 2 a year, and then 10 years for the whole book to come out, But this one was very fast, very easy. Maybe because of that, or some, and the fact that my brother, who was, who dedicated the book, was on a wheelchair, and I used to wonder how he felt, because he couldn't speak. So I used to imagine him thinking about the things that went through his life. So in that way, I think maybe it was a reflection of my feelings for him. But
Your famous brother.
My brother is quite well known to everybody, so it is about, but it is not about him per se, in the sense, I don't know, he never talked about himself. What I saw of that time, and I put them. Okay? Oh God, this is terrible. I have to read, right? Now, do I read from the start or? Okay. Now, if you look at the book, it is the first few lines. These are stanzas. They appear. They describe the place. And then,
You don't have to read all 56, but you could choose.
Okay, yeah.
You could choose some parts too.
Okay, I'm going to read page 30. It says, I don't know how my voice will sound, but it is there. How did I survive? In the early stages, I was driven to write and read. The third year lingered, moved, inched hour by hour, minute by minute, like an overfed python. Up on the still burning hill, I had learned to accept the long winding path up in the stony terrain. Each curve an endless cord, stretching muscles, blistering feet, straining the sinews of my endurance, my obeisance. I stood on my head like the yogis of Himalaya. My third eye focused on my stars for seconds, minutes, hours, till time slipped away, leaving me free to wander in silence in the vastness of space. This was what I think he did when he was in prison. Okay, I have no idea how he survived or what he did, but this is how I visualized him, and I saw him enduring those hours, you know.
Imprisoned by the British.
Yeah, this was the first colonial, in 1952. He was, when he was a student at the university, he was taken in. Shit.
Can't you remember?
No. It's not so much I can't remember.
1959.
No.
No, before that.
He went to university in 1959, but it was in 1951 or 52 that they took in the students, right? It's second year, okay? So it was more, I was talking about how I felt here. Anyway, there you are. Okay, my mind grew in those 3 years. I dreamt in my plans, methods for unification, for organization. A colony moving towards nationhood needs brain power to innovate, to initiate, to invent, brains to attract other brains, neutrons to shape, to hone in the strategy, to unite the diverse ethnic groups, to bring them into an entity. Where would one be without brains? Is that your statement? What indeed? Where indeed? Brains of inventors, writers, economists have molded our lives, made it vibrant. Their vista of enlightenment has opened up our narrow world, expanded our vision, deepened insight into my role in a virgin.
In the title, Mom, Rosaly, the title, Burning Hill. Just any thoughts around, what got you to that point?
Okay, the title, My Burning Hill, actually, by the end of the book, I think the reader feels that when he's using the word My Burning Hill, it was a passion within the speaker, okay? That as a motive, it comes from the time, when he was in the Burmese hills fighting, okay, fighting to liberate India. He joined the Indian National Army as a 21-year-old, 20-year-old boy, and then he went there. And so that image, I think, My Burning Hill is one of the most vivid images of my youth, because when my brother was fighting there, my mother used to wake up and scream. I realized I was so emotional about it. Okay, so she would say that, there's fire on the hill. So, as a teenager, I used to wonder what the fire was about, because we don't ask your parents what they're talking about. But we kind of imagine. Later, I was told they spray latex on the water and set it on fire. And the people who were running away would swim under the water to escape the fire to get to the other side of the hill, So that's how My Burning Hill came about. Yeah, any questions? I am getting too emotional. I want to be here. I want to be here, not there.
Wow. And I enjoyed it, and I enjoyed reading it then, so I can see why it's quite emotional. When you start, it brings back memories. You start thinking of the person, and to see, when in his last days as well, the statue of the man, but his thoughts were always there. So it's for me, it was also a very important piece personally, for the family. Any other questions?
Did he write himself when he was?
Yes, he wrote some poems when he was at the university. But after that, he didn't write poems. He went to do economics, and he wrote a book on economics. That's it.
At the time,
Oh, look, he wrote his book. He did the research on the book, Who Owns the Wealth of Singapore and Malaysia, and he did it while he was in the lockup. Yes, that's and that's the only time he wrote. After that, he didn't write. Yeah.
There's a collection of his writings as well, and it was published in his book called No Cowardly Past. It's published in Malaysia. Not sure.
Yeah, that's right. He's he wrote a lot of articles. Yes.
was it banned?
No, you can get it in Singapore, I think.
No, it was only published.
Yes, I think Select has a copy. May have carried copies.
It was only published after.
So he was alive.
Yeah, it was alive in the 90s. But all these things. Yeah, kind of 30 years past. Saw him as a hero, and a giant. I mean, he was so powerful in that aspect of. It is. We don't even talk to him. He's so like like. My grandmother used to think so much of him. Everybody used to think so much of him. Then he went away. After he went away, of course his image became bigger and bigger and bigger. Then when he came back, he was very reticent. He never spoke about what happened to him or anything happened in Burma. He never spoke about it. Then he was in the university. So, but I got to know him later when I got married and my marriage was breaking up. He was very, very kind as a brother, Yeah, that's a very kind person. What else is he? He was very understanding. And that's all I can really say, because when the brothers get together, they will all, just jam up and talk and talk and talk, and we sisters are just running around helping, getting the drinks, doing this and doing that, and all the things, that we are supposed to do, and they are talking all the time. But, he was a giant of a man, and I think. But he was a very kind person, extremely kind and generous person.
How many of you in the family?
10.
Oh my God.
And he's the eldest of the 10, and we were the little ones. I remember when he wanted to go and fight so my father made us all stand, all the little ones, and then he put it, and then he told because when he wanted to go, my third in the family, who is a brother too, he wanted to go too. So my father said, look at all these. If anything happens to me, who's going to take care of them? I remember that image very well. We were all lined up. So we were seen as, people that needed help. And my brothers were very protective. They took care of us. And that's it.
He was such a vital component of the anti-colonial effort. But what happened to him after he was banished, so to speak? When he was in prison the last time, he wrote that book, and he also did studied part 1 of law part 1. And after that, when he came out, he gave up his politics and concentrated on his part 2, and he finished it. And that's when they imprisoned him finally and threw him out of Singapore. So when they did that, he went to screening company in KL and asked for a job. And they gave him a job straight away without any interview, without him having to apply. He just walked in, and that was how he became a partner in screening company. And he was a lawyer after that.
No more politics.
It's a question.
But he was, I think so.
Question?
Yeah, there's question.
I have a question.
Yes.
I've known you for a long time, but mostly as a teacher. So I'd like to know what your biggest influences are as a writer. Obviously your brother, your family is a very big part of what has driven you to write. But what are some other important life events or influences that have helped you become this writer that you are?
Oh. It's a long process,
You don't have to say everything. Just the things that come to mind that shaped you the most.
Okay, I don't know. I think when you're a writer, you don't just. It's a terrible question to ask, but
Your earlier books are more personal. This historical interest that you have now, it came out later. Your earlier books didn't write about that at all.
no, I wrote poetry in the beginning. I wrote short stories, poetry, but I never got them published except some poetry. And then I stopped writing because I thought it was such a it was a difficult job, this publishing was a difficult job. So I just wrote for fun and I kept writing. And I think I wrote everything that was, that happened to me, Then I'm saying that's a terrible, terrible. So, yeah.
It's a difficult question, not a terrible question.
It's
a good question.
Fascinating.
Your time.
Yeah. Well, let's say ask another question. the third question, yeah. He said, if you two go, then the two elders would have been in the army. And then who's going to take care of
So your
them?
father was supportive at the beginning then?
No, my father was actually the president of the organization they have the Indian organizations over there. So he could not tell him not to go because all the young men were going. So the first one, yes, he agreed to let him go. But when the second one, who was only 16 at the time, or 17 at the time, wanted to go, my father said, no, this is not possible because you have to stay on. In fact, that's what happened when James was taken into the, when he was at the university, they were at the university together, and he told his brother, no, you stay out of politics because you have to burden the family responsibilities. It was in the papers, at the time they say that to each other. Those